All right, we're ready for the second part of today's lesson. And again, this is a part that's at the end of every chapter, kind of our chapter review a little bit without doing the actual problems, but just reviewing some of the concepts, the most important concepts in this particular chapter. So, what have we learned in this chapter? This is on page 11. And so, first of all, it says we've learned that data are information that has some kind of context. So if I have a table or a chart of numbers with no context, that means nothing to me. But if I say, put some context to it, if I know the W's, the who, what, when, where, and why, and how, then that makes that some sense. And yeah, who, what, why, where, when, and then put the how in there. So that's really important stuff, and you should ask yourself that information about every uh, presentation of information of data. You'll find that your book does a really good job of putting all the problems in context. It will give you a lot more information than you probably need. You probably skim over some of that stuff where the survey was taken and so on. But if it becomes important, if you're analyzing, is this a good question? Is this a good survey? That's the information that you want to look at. Okay, so the who, what, when, where, why, and how. It says we must know at least the who, the what, and the why. If the rest is kind of vague or something like that, at least we have to know that. The who are the cases, what we're looking at. The what are the variable, what could we change each time, and then and it's the variable that gives the information about each of the cases, and then the why helps us decide which way to treat the variables, and that will become more evident as we continue on here. So it says we treat variables in two basic ways. Again, categorically or quantitatively. Categorical is identifying a category for each case. If your data is not numbers, if it's something else, it's definitely categorical data. Quantitative data is always numbers, but numbers are not always quantitative data. Okay, so quantitative means quantity. If the numbers are standing for some kind of value, then yes, that is quantitative data. But if the numbers are an identifier, a catalog book number, an order number, something like that, then it's not quantitative. It doesn't mean you're the 100259 customer. It just means that's your identifier of that order. They can look up your order for you and track it or something like that. So numbers can be either categorical or quantitative depending on how they're used. It says sometimes we treat a variable as categorical or quantitative, depending on what we want to learn from it, which means that some variables can't be pigeonholed as one type or the other. It says that's an early hint in statistics that we can't always pin things down precisely. We'll get to that later. Okay, so those are kind of my bullet points, the things that you should have taken away from this chapter in your reading and some of the questioning. But then we get to the vocabulary at the bottom, and I know most chapters, I don't care what kind of textbook, social studies or English or math, at the end they'll have, maybe terms that you learned in this chapter and so on. I'm telling you, in statistics, those terms are really, really important to understand the difference. That's what helps make sense of statistics. So you want to take some time to make sure that you know those terms. So I'm not going to read them all for you. You can certainly read them there. The context ideally tells the who, right? The who that was measured, and so on. So I'm going to let you read those over. I'm just telling you they're really important. That's kind of a hint on, those things might show up on a quiz or assessment. And so do spend some time and make sure that you're not just reading it, that you really kind of understand, oh, I know what they mean by this or that. Okay, so I'm going to stop it there again. There is a little on the computer data type of problem here at the end, or just tells us what we can do. And it might be necessary sometimes to use your Chromebook or laptop to put things into a spreadsheet, whether it's Google Sheets or Excel or something like that. But you know what? Most of the time we're going to use our calculator. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. When we do get to the part where you're going to need to use either Sheets or Excel, I'll demonstrate it for you at that time. So you can read that over if that interests you, but you don't have to. Okay, so we have a few more assignment problems to finish up. Keep in mind that on Friday, that's Friday quiz day. So, think about what we did last week. We just got started at the very beginning of the chapter, so not a lot really to quiz from, but I'm sure I could find something. And so be prepared for Friday quiz on Friday. That's your activity for the day. All right. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.